What's going on, everybody? It's your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor. And today we are coming back with another installment of the Blueprint Podcast. I appreciate a lot of the love that you all are showing me on Spotify and iTunes. Please keep those reviews coming, they are greatly appreciated. And if you are tuning into this podcast on YouTube, do me a solid, let me know in the comments below what are some of the value adds that you get from my conversation with my guest today. So today I am talking with Mr. Vikram Diol, all the way from Medellin, Colombia. Mr. Vikram, how are you this afternoon?
What's up, man? I'm just the boring guy over here, working away at my favorite coffee shop. It's this is my chair. It's literally got my butt prints implanted in it because I work here typically from 8 to 1, 8 to 2 every day, and yeah, man, just chilling. Yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Vikram and myself are agents here at Real Brokerage, and I asked Vikram to come on, and he was incredibly gracious because Mr. Vikram is a busy man. And I asked him to come on here to kind of walk through a couple of things that he is doing in his business after an extensive period of time selling millions and millions of dollars of real estate. Mr. Vikram has stepped into a new role in all things real estate, so I'm excited to dive in regards to that. And as always, if you are watching at least 1 to 2 videos from this channel or listen to 1 to 2 podcasts, make sure to subscribe. Don't sit on the sidelines, dive in. That way we can continue to create content like this that adds to your day. So Vikram, we're going to jump right in.
Let's go, baby.
The nature of this podcast is called The Blueprint. And on my podcast, my goal is to show every agent out there that is under the Mason Dixie how to get better, how to get sharper, how to get faster. And as of the recording of this contract, we are recording of this podcast, I should say. I just got through with a client contract, but as of the recording of this podcast, we are a day away from a new normal. I know, right? I know. So we're gonna talk about that. But Vikram, tell the good people a little bit about yourself, how you got started in real estate, and then we'll go from there.
I appreciate you having me on. I look forward to sharing what I can with you and your guests. So I got into real estate before I was actually in real estate. I knew that real estate was going to be an ultimate place where I was going to hang out. My uncle was very successful as a sales agent, turn investor, turn talk to him about sales. But I got into selling Cutco knives when I was 17. And the reason why that's relevant,
I did Cutco knives too, man.
bro, see, man,
Small
success
world.
leaves clues, y'all. Everybody's trying to freaking reinvent the wheel, but you just got to watch what other people are doing. And so when I got into Cutco, as you know, we cut a penny, we cut rope, we cut leather, we took the penny, we took the scissors apart, we asked for referrals, right? I could, hey Marvin, how'd you like the presentation today?
It was
Well,
great.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, the only way I can show Cutco to other cool people just like you is I work off of personal referrals. And so as I'm cleaning up these knives and all this other junk here that I made a mess of on your table, if you could just do me a favor, and I always had my notebook lined with the name and the number, and there's always, right, Sharon talks a lot about proof over promise. I had all the other people who wrote 50 referrals in there. And I got to find the page. Here's a pen. Here's 2 pens, right? And we had the whole thing, and I'd get the knives and I'd start cleaning them, and I'd pass the thing over to Mrs. Jones, and she'd just start writing, right? We were blessed that when we were young kids, we were taught how to do presentations for people. Real estate is a game of presentations. Most people don't have any. Most people are winging their buyer. Most people are winging their seller. Most people don't have a phone presentation. It's a game of presentation. People are out there spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on cars and clothes, which is great. Like, look the part, but actually be the part. I could put on a stethoscope and a white coat. That don't make me a doctor. My dad's a doctor. I might know some things about health and wellness, but you start throwing out these technical terms. I don't know what, I got to Google that stuff. I might understand it, but do you want the person who's going to operate on your beloved 18-year-old child or give health advice to be the person that put on a $150 stethoscope and a white lab coat? And bro, I mean, I'm Indian. I look the part.
That's funny.
Probably not. And how are most agents running their business? Well, you look the part. Yo, your Louboutins are impressive to no one. You know what's impressive is, do you have the buyer presentation down pat? Do you know that if you talk to people, say buyers are liars? No, they're not. They're just uninformed. So before you show a home, right, which is what most people do, you're glorified Redfin agents. Don't get mad at me. This is the truth. Most agents are a glorified Redfin agent. And what they do is when they get a call from a lead and the lead says, I want to see 123 Banana Street, what do you say? Sure, when do you want to see it? Well, I'd like to see it tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Awesome. Let me call so-and-so and make sure it's available. Isn't that what Redfin does? Now Zillow's got you all played because Zillow is doing this now for their Zillow leads. They're getting you a temporary single 2, 3, 4 property temporary agreement, and then it's your job as the agent to take that temporary agreement and make it permanent. Well, let's rewind that a little bit. We teach our clients, and I taught my team, we did $250 million in sales. Not that any of that matters. Not saying that to impress you. I'm saying that to impress upon you. The reason we were able to accelerate so fast in a market where I had no sphere of influence, I had no friends, I was going through a divorce. I actually, in my first listing that was a non-flip, it was a short sale that I lived inside of the short sale because I was going through a divorce. He left it furnished and he's like, hey man, I'm going through a divorce. I'm not taking any of this stuff with me. Just live in the house. He's like, but I'm taking the washer and dryer. I'm like, dog, out of all the things you're going to leave, you're not going to leave the washer and dryer?
Right.
He's like, you'll figure. Yeah, so I washed my clothes in the shower, right? My mom's like, son, you went to boarding school in India. You know how to wash your clothes. Like, that's not a lie. She's like, hang dry them outside on a hanger. I'm like, where do I buy hangers at, Mom? A 30-year-old man, I know where to buy hangers. She's like, go to one of these, not thrift stores, but like one of the stores, buy some pots and pans, do a couple things, get a couple of dishes, right? Spend a couple $100. I was like, Mom, I don't got a couple $100. She's like, son, you got a credit card. I was like, okay, I guess I got a couple $100.
Right.
And I was going through a divorce in the middle of a flip, and I lived in the guy's house. And I knew that if I could sell and I had a process, I could win. And so the buyers came to me at open houses. The house I lived in, dude, I was doing open houses every weekend at. People are like, I thought the house was vacant. I'm like, it is vacant. They're like, well, there's still, oh yeah, the owner has some friends living here, so they leave some stuff, but it's vacant. And everything in here stays with the home. I was the friend that was living there.
You weren't lying. It's true.
And the house was pending, but it was pending short sale. So I kept doing open houses, right, bro? But I took everybody that I met, I registered everybody, and I took them to a buyer presentation. Now, when I went to my broker and I said, hey, I need a buyer presentation, he's like, why? Like, well, because these people need a process to plug into. If they don't have a process, like, they're not going to write good offers. And the reason I realized that, dude, was because my first multiple offer negotiation was my first sale. And the buyer came to me and says, I'll use you, but I want 2% of the commission back. And I said, but dude, there's 19 offers on this property and they're better than yours. He's like, yeah, but you're going to make 6%. I said, yeah, but I have integrity. I'm going to be doing a lot of business. So I can get you the house. I talked to the owner. He's like, Vic, tell him to match the 840. I was like, hey, here's the price. He's like, and then if you want to take a 1%, a 2%, a 3%, he's like, I got you 6% on the contract. I would have put 8, but they didn't let me. He's like, you should keep that money. You worked really hard on this house. I was like, hey, Mr. Buyer, we don't play these games. And he says, well, I've talked to other agents at open houses and they will play the game. I said, then go write an offers with them. Well,
Right.
he lost. Go figure.
As things go.
Go figure. I didn't want to work with his crappy Redfin agent, nor did I want to work with him. And so I gave the opportunity to another agent who did a lot of business. That I knew his buyer wasn't playing games, and I knew his buyer wasn't backing out. And I knew we had at least a 2 to 6 month process. But the biggest challenge that agents have right now in this market is they don't know how to book appointments because they don't have a phone presentation. So they all say the same crap. And I listen to thousands of calls every year. We have a call center. So my company actually has a call center. I could play 5 calls for you right now. I could tell you, out of those 5 calls, 1 might ask for an in-person appointment. And the second problem is the reason you don't ask for an in-person appointment is because what are you going to say to a buyer sitting in front of you face to face when he starts talking about, so talk to me about what's happening with this compensation. Talk to me about what's going on. Why should I work with you? What do you do differently? Well, I find houses on the MLS. That's not special. I have 11 drips set up with 7 different portals. What do you differently? I'm the best negotiator. Show me how. You've sold 3 houses. You're not the best negotiator. That's a lie, right? I will give you the top service. I'm available 24/7. So if I call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to pick up the phone? That's a lie. See, all of these things that we heard another agent say, we say because we think it sounds cool, but it actually creates what we call sales friction and sales resistance. And when we have sales friction and sales resistance, what happens is the prospect shuts down because they've heard this from every telemarketer from South America, where I live, to the Philippines, to India, right, to the people in the United States, to the people in Canada that are calling. They hear the same exact thing over and over again. And so instead of them being like, oh my God, I would love to work with you, like, yay, they, oh, this is a salesperson just like everybody else, click, and they hang up. And so, like, our people are great people, but they're just, the problem they have, which isn't their fault, but it is their problem, is that they're plugging into somebody else's broken process, which is why they're getting broken results. That's my
Yeah.
intro.
And I love the way that you walk through that because, you know, as we're kind of navigating the new normal, we're in 2024
Yeah.
as of this recording.
Bro, such a blessing for
Yeah,
those that want to work it. It's such a blessing.
it is. It is. And there's going to be some changes, right? And
Yeah.
this is going to be an awakening for a lot of agents out there, especially those that are not embracing things like social media, not embracing being comfortable and or creating comfort on the phone, even if you are, manufacturing it. And one of the cool things that Vikram does is he hosts role-playing sessions here at the brokerage. And I think that it's important, as you mentioned, Vikram, is that a lot of times we just kind of vomit word salad when we're on the phone. We're, especially when we're talking to a complete stranger, incredibly nervous. You don't know what to say. You don't know how that other person is taking what is being said on the phone. If you're calling expireds, FISBOs, whatever the case is.
It's
But I
scary.
think, yeah, many of us just have a hard time asking for the sale or asking for the appointment. And it can be as simple as, hey, my schedule is available. You talk to the person on a Tuesday. I'm available to stop by on Thursday at 3 p.m. Will that work for you? 9 times out of 10, that person has been called and they are simply, if this is an expired, for example, or a FISBO, they're simply being told how this complete stranger agent is going to be the one that gets their home sold when the last agent on the expired that promised them it'd be
Failed.
sold in 30 days didn't do it. So, how are some of the ways that you would say one should create a differentiation in themselves if they get on the phone today with an expired or a FISBO? What are some strategies that you'd go about to
Bro,
secure
I,
the appointment in the listing?
I love it. Let's role play.
Okay. All right. You be
Ring,
the
ring.
agent or I'm the FISBO?
I'll, yeah, I'll be the agent. So, like,
Okay.
there, you could use a really cool circle prospecting script to get your foot in through a back door, right? But here's what you don't want. Let me tell you what you don't do. You don't lie, right? Don't tell them you're a top. Like, I ripped open, and there's an agent here at Real, and I ripped open the golden prospecting script where it says, I'm a top agent. I'm a neighborhood expert. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to just help. And then everything that followed that in that process was a lie. Most agents that are calling are not top agents. And what does that even mean? I'm a top agent. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know.
Everyone's a top 1% agent.
Bro, I was in the Dominican Republic for Christmas. I saw one billboard after another billboard. Everybody said top agent, number one, 1%. I'm like, dude, you can't make this stuff up. Here's something that you all should do. Success leaves clues. Stop asking realtors how they made money and start talking to entrepreneurs outside of the real estate industry and we live in an ancestral world. They did that. That must be working. Oh, they sell a lot of homes. You don't know what they do. You don't know what they say. You just say, oh, they're posting this on social. I should do that. Oh, they're doing this. I should do. Stop that, y'all. That is the number one thing that's going to cause misery and failure for you. Create a process and plug into the whole thing. Stop piecemealing what you like from people. Like when people work with us, we give them everything. We give them a listing presentation, a buyer presentation. How do you book open house appointments? Live from the open house. How do you follow up from an open house? What's the process to follow up? But I love this this is like a pretty cool like way that one of our clients and I worked on recently, and he's got like 6 expireds from this in the last like 60 days. So it's clearly it's working, and he's been on a bunch more appointments, but he didn't win all of them, right? But I mean, God, you lose 50%, but you still got 6 listings. It's not a horrible day. So ring
Yeah.
ring.
Hey, what's going on? This is Marvin. How can I help you?
Hey Marvin, it's just Vikram Deal here, and I'm not actually quite sure you could help me yet. Are you familiar with the house up the street, the one that just sold 123 Sheridan Street?
Yeah, my neighbor. He's down the
Yeah.
street. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, hey man, that's awesome. Like, I don't know if you saw the traffic in the neighborhood over the last couple of days. It's kind of chaotic.
I did. Yeah, it was crazy.
Y- Yeah, right. But hey, I had some friends, the Smith and the Deals, and for one reason or the other, this just wasn't the perfect home for them. But they want to be in the neighborhood. They got kids that want to go to the elementary. They got a older one that wants to be in the high school. You probably know better than I do, but it's got the parks and it's got the great like high school with like the tech program and the football program, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know all about it.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Hey man, it's just a random shot. I told them that I would try to find a home for them in this neighborhood because as you sounds like you understand it's a very desirable neighborhood. I was wondering if you might possibly know any of your other neighbors that or any people at the school that have kind of been throwing around the idea of selling their home.
You know, it's funny you said that. There's a couple that are actually empty nesters. Their last
Really?
kid just went off to college,
Oh,
and we've been kind of talking about it at the mailbox when I see them. You know, they were
no
talking about
way.
that it's too much house for for their home right now. So yeah, I actually do.
Do you? I mean, I know I'm just some random dude that called you off out of the blue. I can send you all my certifications via text and but would you be open to like throwing me out an intro to them?
You know, think they might have an agent, that they've worked with,
Yeah, and
but
I'm not trying to win the listing. I'm just trying to find the property. So like if they have an agent, like I'll just get the agent's name from them and I'll just work directly with the agent and if they're empty nesters, they probably don't want to deal with like 1,000 people coming through their home and like all the
no,
preparation and stuff like that. So no pressure on them to try to list with me. Like I said, I got the Smiths and the Diols that are looking for a home. Could you put us together in like a email text?
yeah, yeah, that's my
Okay,
buddy. So we go golfing all the time. So I'm happy to
cool.
do that.
And then I should probably ask you this. I'm sorry, this is like my 400 call today and my 12th coffee. I might have already asked you this. Have you guys had any thoughts about selling your guys' home recently?
You know, I'll tell you, Vikram,
Yeah,
I'm sitting at a pretty nice 2% interest rate. You know, I
yeah,
refinanced some time
yeah,
ago, but
yeah.
I've thought about it, but I
Why
just
why why have you guys thought about it? I know it's hard to beat that rate. What would make you guys even want to think about selling? Because if you're a neighbor of the Joneses off of Sheridan, you must have a pretty nice home yourself.
yeah, we got a ton of equity. If I
Yeah,
were to sell today,
congrats.
thank you. I'd walk away with quite a bit.
All
But
right.
man, it's the 2.5%, man. I'm
What
struggling.
where would you go though if you did leave? Like what would make you even want to think about it? Like interest rates aside, what would make you even want to think about even possibly moving? Like what's got you even thinking about that at some late night sessions?
We need more room. We need more
What do you
space.
mean by that?
So my wife is really big into home decor, and so
Okay.
we just need more space. I mean,
For like storage or for like kids or for like couches?
well, we have a kid, but I want my own media room space, for example. Right now, we're just kind of converting the space. But I've been looking for a home with a basement. We don't have a basement at the present time. That kind of thing.
Got it.
It'd be
How
nice to
big is
get
your current home?
about 3,000 square feet.
Okay, that's fairly big. I mean, what are you looking for?
A basement.
4,500-ish?
Say it again.
Like 4,500 square feet?
Right. 45 to 5,000 square feet. Again, something with a finished basement, a nice backyard. Something I can put a pool or
Right.
put a basketball court or pickleball. That's the new trendy thing.
Well,
But
when you get that pickleball court, can you come over and teach me how to play?
I got you, man.
I
I
want to
got
be
you.
trendy. So
Yes,
you
sir.
want your own media room. You want like a man cave, it sounds like. You can turn up the
A space
tunes,
that I could
crank.
just watch movies, play
Yeah,
video games from time to
right.
time, and just just enjoy,
And then
relax.
what would you guys do with the extra space, all the other extra space in the home?
We've thought about maybe creating like an art room, kind of like a multifunctional room. Of
Okay.
course, we need I'd
Right.
love a bigger owner suite, that kind of
Right.
thing. Our
Okay.
daughter's growing; she needs more
How
room.
old's your daughter?
Just yeah. Say it again.
How old's your daughter?
She's a middle schooler, so she'll be 12 this year.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, well, hey man, I know I'm like I said, I'm just some random dude, and I know you got that beautiful interest rate. How long have you guys been thinking about wanting this extra space for? Because I don't think interest rates are coming down anytime soon, unless you have a crystal ball. Like, how long have you guys been wanting that space for?
Well, we've thought about it really in the last 2 years. Even
Wow,
though I
two
know I'm not
years?
going to get anywhere close to two. I
Right.
have noticed that rates have come down a little bit.
Yeah.
And, we're going to put a lot of money down. We're going to take a lot of the equity that
Right.
in the sale of our home and then put it
Right.
towards.
How long you been in this house for?
Been inside over a decade.
You guys got a ton of equity then. Oh my God. Well, hey man, like I guess if you're not opposed, what we could do is we put some time aside on both of our calendars, and I could kind of like walk you through what it would look like if you guys even wanted to do this, and like just kind of help you guys come up with a strategy, right? Like a short term, a midterm, and like a long term strategy. And if you'd find that beneficial, right? If like you'd be open to that, like we could do that for you. Would that be something you're open to, man?
We've talked about it. We've run the
Yeah,
numbers. I'm a numbers
yeah,
guy,
cool.
and saw something on the news about
Right.
not having to pay agents anymore.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, yeah. There's a new lawsuit out that affected the real estate industry, and a bunch of things shifted, and we'll talk about all that. Obviously, like I'm an open book, dude. Like if you work with me, awesome. If you don't work with me, that's awesome. If you guys decide to stay in your house for the next 10 more years and excavate and put a basement in, I might have the right contractor to help you with that too. So, I mean, why don't we just do this? Why don't we just I'll bring over some coffees, and we could just jam for a few minutes, talk about what's going on in the market. Sounds like you might have some questions about what's actually happening. What works better for you guys? Are you in the significant more of like early evenings, late afternoons?
Yeah, yeah. Late afternoons are ideal. I run my
Okay,
own
like
business,
four,
so
five.
yeah, about 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay. You're at 123 Sheridan Street, right? I called
Right.
the right address.
Yes, sir.
I'll shoot you over a calendar invite. Let's do would tomorrow or Saturday work for you at 4?
Tomorrow 4 works. I'll be on.
Okay. And what's your email address, Marvin?
It is info@marvinoria.com.
Info@marvinoreo.com. All right. I just clicked that through. Did you get
Yes,
that?
sir.
Did you get that in your inbox?
Let me check.
Yep.
Oh man, you're fast, man. I see it already.
Hey man,
Love it.
if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it, right? You're an entrepreneur. You might know that feeling. Just hit the yes button for me real quick.
Got it.
And now you got my contact. I got your contact. Yeah, man. We'll jam tomorrow, real brief, real chill. And then I'll shoot you my text as well, so you have my number. If you see your buddy that had the other property that was thinking about selling as well, if you have his info and you could put us in a group text, I would be greatly appreciative of that.
Yeah, Vic. I mean, first of all, I like your approach. I mean, you
Yeah,
really weren't I get calls like this all the time trying to,
yeah.
I don't know how you agents can see all my equity, but I get calls of folks trying to give
Unfortunately,
me.
there's no privacy anymore, my man.
Right, I'm seeing that, and so
Yeah,
we've been kicking around the idea of selling, man. But I just, like I said, it's all about the energy of the person, and I appreciate the way that you went about it.
yeah.
And I'm gonna let my buddy know when we play pickleball again
Cool,
to
bro.
give you a call, after we talk.
Cool, man. Well, I'll see you tomorrow and we'll jam.
All right, awesome, man. That was good. That was good. No pressure. No, it was real straight to the point. I mean, you will walk folks through what you were thinking as we were going through that conversation.
I
What
wasn't
was
thinking.
you weren't thinking? I love that.
It's reps.
Reps.
It's reps. There was so when we think we get stuck. I know where you're going to go. I know there's only 3 to 5 scenarios that you're going to actually run yourself through. So I know where you're potentially going to go. So I don't have to think. The first thing when you have a good present, like I can pitch you how to drop down in Cutco. I haven't sold Cutco since I had a stint at Cutco after college when we were 2008, 2009. couldn't get a job in Seattle. And so I just went back to my parents' house in Bakersfield and I got my Cutco stuff and I sold $200,000 of Cutco in Seattle in a year. And it wasn't because I was great. It was because I was great at following the process. And then from there, I elevated the game based off of tonality, body language, right? Based off of verbal pauses, verbal cues, right? So if people noticed, like if they're watching this live, I spit my gum out halfway through. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I actually spit my gum out. It's on the back of my notepad.
No,
But I
no,
started
it's
to
not
take some
bad.
basic notes,
Yeah.
right? I was
And
like,
you really
NAR.
did take notes. If you're watching
Yeah,
on
no, I'm
YouTube,
not.
you actually took notes. I love it.
Yeah, no, this is serious, man. This is like people's lives. Like, so I put NAR, I put empty nesters, media, basement room, 3,000, wants five, wants a finished basement,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you don't put notes, you don't care. And so, like, I took the notes because one, it keeps your brain. There's the thing called flow state, right? And so, like, what we teach a lot about is human psychology. And I know nobody likes scripting, but let me tell you, that was a script that I followed, and I kicked the snot out of, not allowed to swear here, I kicked the snot out of 99% of agents. Why? Because I got into a flow state. And when you're in a flow state, you don't think, you just perform based off of your prior experience and training. Now, all of you guys get into a flow state when you're in the presentation mode. The problem that most people get to, my friend, is that when their flow state kicks in, they don't have the previous experience to fall back on. And so what they fall back on is just like, and it's like,
Word
yabba dabba
salad.
do, what did you just say, homie? And then they get in the car and they're like, oh, well, that prospect, no, that prospect was ready to take action and you didn't allow them to because you weren't prepared with your word salad. That is a you thing, not a them thing. You know what the greatest part about that was? You can fix it in 3 to 6 months or less. You can buckle down and you can fix your processes in a couple of months, maybe less, maybe more. Everybody has a different learning curve, right? My buddy goes to the gym, he lifts one weight, he's got a six pack, and I'm like, all right, Hercules. I go to the gym, I can lift weights every day, and it takes me 4 months. And finally, my physical therapist said, oh, Vic, your arms are looking good. When did you start going back to the gym? I'm like, I love you, Anna, but I've been going to the gym for 4.5 months. She's like, oh, well, something really changed recently. I'm like, there it is, right? So we all have our learning curve. And the problem is that most people's learning curve that they allow themselves to go through is too short for the results that they want. But if you want to be a top producer in any industry, doctors go 14 years of education.
Right.
Engineers go 10 years of education. Your plumber goes 6 to 12 months of intense trade school. Y'all don't want to hire the crappy plumber, but y'all want to be the crappy salesperson that shows up untrained and I just work in charisma mode. That's stupid. That's some dumb A stuff.
Right.
So what I did in that call was, one is I had a really great trust-based opener. Right? You set me up on a great opener. You're like, "Hey, how can I help you?" Well, I'm not quite sure you could yet. And you're like, "Well, what do you mean?" And then I introduced myself and where I'm from. Right? But I didn't pause and let you like, "Oh, hey man, we're not interested in selling." Right? Once you have a trust-based opener, you need to figure out what your purpose of the call for. So the purpose of my call here is not to get you to sell your home, it's to get you in a conversation with me. My overarching goal is to share that I have two clients that want to be in your neighborhood and the specifics about why they want to be there.
Yeah.
Once we're in flow, hey man, they already got it. Yeah, no worries. That's a disarming tactic. Yeah, of course they have an agent, right? Well, because you're not going to send some random stranger. You want to make sure that you know that I'm not going to harp them because that's a sales process. And you're not going to put your buddy John because you're going to see him at pickleball because he's your best friend, right? This is called conscious listening. All of this stuff is learnable, but agents think they need better leads. No, you don't need any more leads, y'all. One of our clients, she's actually one of our tribe leaders now. Her name's Molly, and I won't share anything that she wouldn't accept for me to share and that she hasn't shared. She had a database of 6,000 people. The way I met her was that she reached out to my partner about getting our call center to call her people and to get more leads. Now, she did 18 transactions the year before. So it wasn't like she was slouching, and the year was not over yet. So by the time I got her in August, September, she was at 18 transactions, well on her way to 24. Now she's going to do 50, and she has more time, and they're more higher end properties. But what she did was she talked to my buddy Cody, and Cody's like, No, you don't need me. Like what I run, you need Vikram because you don't need more leads. You got 6,000. You need to figure out what to say to those leads, and that's what Vikram will teach you. So then the same crappy leads that she thought sucked, that she had put notes in, these are dead, these are dead, these are dead. After we worked together for 45 days, she turned on the call center and she put 3 appointments on the calendar that were dead, and she put 2 appointments into buyer agreements or into buyer contracts in less than 14 days.
Wow.
The same people she talked to 6 weeks ago, crappy leads, change a little bit of what you say, change your mindset about why you're saying it, bam, done. So there's a lot of psychology that goes into these conversations.
That's what it is. That's what the sales part. You hit the nail on the head. Psychology is number one with everything. I would even add a little bit of humor, and I like how you sprinkled some of that in your call with me. Is humor is very disarming. So when I say
Playful
something,
energy.
yeah, when I say it's your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor, do I know that I'm really your favorite realtor's favorite realtor? Probably not, but it's
You
my
know,
tagline. It's got humor to it, and you hook that person in. So on the phone, what you did that I want to double click on that was really innovative to me is that you kept my attention for longer than 30 seconds. And I feel like if you can keep the caller or viewer or buyer, whatever if you're in the meeting, you can tell that they are really like chomping at the bit for what you have to say. They're sitting up. They're not fidgeting as you're talking. They're really dialed into what you're saying. If you can do that within the first 30 seconds, you've got the person. You can really only mess yourself up by what you say further on throughout the conversation, but it's very key to use psychology, inflection, as you mentioned. All of those things that are in our toolkit as human beings, just turn it around for real estate, right? You do it on social media, you do it at at a family member's house during a family reunion when that one family member that's always getting on everyone's nerves, you say, okay, I'm not going to approach them this kind of way, I'm going to approach them that way because Uncle Jeff, he's a hoot. These are all things that many of us, we don't know that we have these skill sets until, as you mentioned, we just have that light bulb moment, and then we just redirect that skill set that we've learned as human beings from kindergarten and we apply it to real estate. I think that's powerful.
It's funny when it's because the mentality of sales is that we have to be a certain way because nobody's taught you that there's another way. Like you don't have to be anything except for authentic, but the only way you get to authenticity is to start with a process. And then once you have your process, right? Like I haven't made a cold call in 5 years, but I tell you, we sold $150 million in expireds, FISBOs, right? Like because we did have a process and our people got to plug into that process. The reason why teams fail is you don't have a process, right? So like there's certain things that we say that actually cause people to not want to work with us. Ring ring. Hey Marvin. Hey, how you doing today, man? What do you want? What do you want? Immediately, what do you want? Because your friend never asks you how you doing. Your friend's like, hey bro, what's up? Hey dude. Hey, why didn't you show up to yesterday's pickleball game? You're like, oh, He doesn't say, hey, how are you today? Right? It's fake rapport. It's fake likability. And people sniff that out in 2024. A dog sniffs your feet. And so what we do is we don't like sometimes people are like, oh, I just wish I had the perfect script. I'm like, I could give you the script, but it's just like the iPhone. I could give you the update for the iPhone, but you're not
Right.
going to know how to install it. Apple has to do it because they know how to install it because they're the engineers. So it's not just getting the script because you're still going to say something dumb like, hey, how are you? Hey, do you need to be pre-approved? Right? You're still going to ruin the opportunity even after you had a great. The science that I found is that at 2 minutes, you should have trust. At 7 minutes, you should have an appointment. At 9 minutes, you should be wrapping up, confirming, and getting off the phone. At 11 minutes, you've talked too much.
Wow.
And I know that at 2 minutes, if you haven't got trust from the prospect and you're starting to work on what we call their overarching goal, which is why they would even, like what I got out of you, right? Why do you want a media room? Well, I want this, this, and this. And what else would you do? Oh, what about your daughter? How old's your daughter? You're just opening up everything. I have your overarching goal. And how long have you wanted it for? 2 years? Oh my God, 2 years? That's a fairly long time. And like, the market may or may not go up and down. Well, actually, I've been doing research. The rates have been coming down. You're selling yourself on my meeting. Then you give me some pushback. I'm like, yeah, man, we don't have to meet, but like, sounds like you have some questions about this lawsuit and this and that. Yeah, Y'all, if you can't do what I'm doing and I don't sell real estate anymore, like you're going to get smoked out of this market like a little cockroach when the exterminator comes. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because if somebody doesn't tell you the truth, you keep thinking it's the market, you need more social media. Dude, I got guys, I got a gal that had 16,000 followers on social media. She got 6 inbound leads every single week. Zero deals for 2024. She had to stop working with me because she financially was like, I can't afford to work with you anymore. I'm like, it's barely like you're grandfathered into such an old price, it's barely anything. And she's like, yeah, I can't afford it. So that now we're starting a scholarship program within our company so that we can help those agents that actually need the right support, because everybody else is just like, oh, you're down on your luck, screw you, take off. We can't help you. But if you don't have somebody telling you the truth, and you're working with a bunch of other agents that are also struggling and nobody gives you actual real good feedback, oh, you're doing great. If you're doing great, let me see your bank account.
Then you
So
never hear from them again.
yeah, like accountability groups fail because there's nobody paying for the accountability. Role play groups fail because the feedback you get sucks because nobody's been trained on how to give feedback. So everybody's like, "Oh, that was amazing. How did you? That was awesome." And then you get in real life and you do the exact same thing and you get 14 no's, and you're like, "Well, I mean, if I'm amazing, then these leads suck." No, what you were amazing at might not be the new technology that you needed to install.
That's powerful, man. And as we land the plane here, I mean, this is such good stuff. Promise I'm gonna get you all out of here in the next 2 minutes. Those of you listening to this podcast,
Sorry, I
because
talk
I
a
got to
lot.
jump. But I think that, as you mentioned, everyone needs a coach first and foremost. And so Vikram here, and I believe I mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast. Vikram is a real estate coach, y'all, and he is someone that we are actually working together as co-sponsors for an agent here in my group. And I mean, when I tell you everything that Vikram is, as far as what you're hearing, this is exactly what he does with the agent clients that he works with. And so how can folks get in touch with you, Vikram, if they want to learn more about, your services, and they do have the budget, they're doing well, but they want to get to that next level and that next level.
I mean,
How
we got
can one stay connected and reach out to you for more?
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me shout it out. We have programs for all budgets. It's a tough market out there. We get it. We have programs for all budgets. Some are just more advanced. Some are more of the foundations and fundamentals. But we have something for everybody, I believe, because I am an agent and I've been an agent and I struggled having to put my own stuff together. And most brokerages don't have anything, which is why most agents are broke. But just go to Instagram, right? Go to Instagram, my name, Coach Vikradeel, Coach Vikram Diol. Send me a message, follow us, follow my YouTube if you just want. We put out 3 to 4 trainings. You can follow me inside of the Real Estate Sales Dojo as well. And that's where we give out a lot more free content if you want to kind of nibble before you buy. But otherwise, man, just whether you do something with me or you do something with somebody else, find the stuff that's working in today's world with the new psychology, not the old stuff from 20 years ago that creates friction. And yeah, man, just reach out, say what's up, say you heard me on Marvin's show, and I'll send you a free training.
I love it. I love it. And Vikram is, like I said, he is always accessible, y'all. We're in the same brokerage. We talk often, and ultimately, I want you to win. Vikram wants you to win. And in this new normal that we're getting ready to head into, it's nothing to be fearful. You can only be fearful if you're not
Opportunities.
prepared, right? When you go into war, if you don't know how to load that bayonet up, if you don't know how to break a gun down, you're going to get shot. You're going to get taken out, right? And so what what we're talking through today is just to prepare you for whatever comes after August 17th. You will be a better agent for it. And at the end of the day, we want the crappy agents out of the game anyway because they make it look bad for us, those of us that are tactical, strategic, and have a heart for people. And that's exactly what Vikram and myself are happy to do for you as your co-sponsor. So before you get out of here, as always, if you are a real estate professional and you don't get this level of support from the brokerage that you're a part of, or you're a brand new agent and you are looking to really, but you're coming from an industry where you crushed it in sales, we will help turn your voice into exactly who you were in your previous industry, but for real estate so that you crush within the first few months in business. So I'll leave all of Vikram's information in the show notes of this podcast. Again, let him know you found him from the Blueprint Podcast with Marvin Oria. Give him a follow. I follow him. He gives all kinds of great nuggets via social media. We didn't even talk about his video presence, but I will tag a couple of his videos in the description of the video. And we're probably going to need to do a part two, Vikram. I'm just putting it out there because I really want to dive into your video strategy. If you have the time, I'd love to jam out with you again. But this has been great, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy afternoon in Medellin, Colombia, to have this conversation. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Tune in to the next one. See you guys later. Peace.